How's it going, dudes and dudettes? My name is Sean. Welcome back to my channel for the second upload of the day. And I did want to do this. I did want to make this corrected video, but now that it's been two videos in under 20 hours, 24 hours, against Yang, I'm starting to think more and more that secular talk is nothing but Bernie or bust and doesn't care about progressive politics or left politics at all, and is just more or less, a version of my channel, but for Bernie Sanders. You know what I mean? Because what they've done is, go ahead and smack a like. Those of you who are getting this notification, smack a like, because the secular talk fanboys are probably going to come and enforce and be ready to argue with them in the comment section and make sure that this video doesn't completely get, ratioed. So now, what has happened is secular talk Kyle Kulinski has found two tiny little things, and now all of a sudden Yang is the devil to him when he was a week ago giving him props. Okay, first off, Yang's Medicare for All is not the name of a bill. Yes, it is. This video, I'm not even going to play any of this video because it's literally just him being mad that Yang has a better route to fixing the Medicare crisis other than completely gutting upwards of 13% of the entire economy. Like it or not, Miss Susie down at the insurance company who provides your insurance, she's still got to pay her bills, and if her job's taken away tomorrow, guess what? That's not going to be good for for votes on the left. And that's the reason why people don't like Bernie Sanders, the reason why the establishment doesn't like Bernie Sanders, the reason why the right doesn't like Bernie Sanders. And Andrew Yang, for one, actually cuts to all of the benefits that Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All would actually give us. Yang's does all that plus some without uprooting the entire economy that is the insurance industry. Okay, which almost 50% of Americans agree they do not want their health insurance completely eradicated. They do not want a government mandate because the government is just 100% perfect with spending money that they get, right? Sure, we're going to have a nationalized Medicare service, and all the money that's going to go for that is actually going to be used for the Medicare service. Quality of service is going to increase. Sure it is. Just like the quality at the DMV is just so great. Yes. Okay, you're waiting for a bus. Yeah, wouldn't you rather have a car? Guess what? You need insurance for that. But you could take public transit if you want. It's cheaper. It's cheaper. Go do that. Exactly. Most Americans don't, you see. So, yes, Medicare for All is technically the name of a bill, but there's been plenty of Medicare for All bills that's been introduced that's not just the name of a bill. So maybe what he should have said is Medicare for All is not just the name of a bill. There's plenty of routes to get there, and I can prove it to you. I covered this a while back. Yang's new sweeping healthcare changes actually lower prescription drug prices, like Bernie Sanders wants to do. Invest in technology, something Bernie Sanders does not want to do, is not covered in his Medicare for All plan. Expanding healthcare to rural areas is only something Bernie Sanders has added on after Andrew Yang started talking about it. Expanding mental health care, checks Bernie's list too. Offering flexibility to providers, something that that Bernie Sanders just wants to completely eradicate. You can't do that, man. You have to have a slow ease out system, and that's what Yang wants to do. He does support Medicare for All. He is for Medicare for All. He is not for instituting Medicare for All at the expense of hundreds of thousands of workers who rely on that job. There has to be some sort of a transition. Bernie does not provide that. He talks about it, but does not provide that. Yang does. Yang also wants to diminish the influence of lobbyists, going as far to say, if you, Mr. Politician, want to get a job outside of being a public servant, you cannot go for the insurance companies. You cannot go for the big pharma companies. You cannot go to the banks. That is something that even Bernie Sanders won't do, because guess what? Bernie Sanders used to rail about millionaires and billionaires. Now it's just billionaires he doesn't like. And I'm sure as soon as he becomes a billionaire, he's going to quit railing about that too, because guess what? Bernie Sanders bent over for Hillary. He supported corruption, the same corruption that he likes to rail against constantly. He turned the other cheek as soon as it was beneficial for him. That's a classic politician. So I'm sorry, while Bernie Sanders might be my second pick now that Tulsi's pretty much out, it is what it is. He supported Hillary Clinton. She cheated against him. So guess what? I could find a couple little nitpicky things about Bernie Sanders too, and I could rail all about that. But I don't make dedicated videos to Bernie Sanders about Bernie Sanders and how Bernie Sanders isn't the candidate, because guess what? I am not a one-issue voter. I can look at everything about Yang and say, okay, I might disagree with his stance on Julian Assange, but I also agree with every single thing else that he has. So guess what? I'm going to turn a blind eye to that, because all the change that he could provide us is so much more than just him maybe not being as right as you would want him to be on one issue. People who are one-issue candidates don't want the betterment of the world. They don't want the betterment of the country. They don't want the betterment of the people. They want the betterment of that one issue. Medicare for All might save 30,000 lives. UBI would save hundreds of thousands. More people die from the common cold than they do for just basic lack of Medicare. People die from car accidents than they do from the common cold, which is provided from not having enough Medicare for all. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this? It makes no sense for him to say it. So let's get into the Julian Assange video, because like I was saying, you can be pro somebody and not support them on every single little bitty thing.
A very bright young man by the name of Dak. Apparently his website is overwritten.org, I believe. This is what he put on his Twitter video that he released on this. I want to give him credit for that because I'm about to show you the video. So Dak asked Andrew Yang a pretty important question about Julian Assange, which then, gets into a broader question about freedom of the press. So let's see how Yang handles it.
You might have a video. Do you support Julian Assange? I think Julian Assange should stand trial. I am generally pro whistleblower and pro people that try and call out bad behaviors. But in that particular case, he did end up disclosing some information that really had no useful purpose except for potential damage to our infrastructure, like the undersea cables location and some other things. So I certainly would not be in favor of I think he should stand trial.
Thank you.
No problem.
Oh, Andrew. He says Assange should stand trial, and he says he disclosed information with no useful purpose. And understand, guys, this is quite literally establishment arguments used against Julian Assange, and they're not true. They're not true.
No, what's not true, Kyle, is what you just said. Yang says that there was a potential for some things that Julian Assange disclosed to actually be harmful. There's a potential for that. He's not saying that it is harmful, so he's not using an establishment candidate's or establishment talking point. You are just mixing the two because you can't separate the nuances in what he's saying. That's what's happening here. There's two little bitty things that you are not 100% perfect with on Andrew Yang, so now all of a sudden you have to make videos bashing him. There's plenty of things I don't disagree with on Bernie. I say that in passing in my videos. I don't make dedicated videos against him. It's because you're scared of Andrew Yang. It's because you know Andrew Yang is coming up, and instead of covering his groundbreaking fundraising, you want to find the couple littlest, tiniest, bittiest things and attack him for that. Guess what? Including Bernie Sanders, there's 1,000 things of all the other establishment candidates, including Bernie Sanders, because he's starting to be establishment ever since he supported Hillary, that could be used against him. Andrew Yang has a couple little things. And the point is, let's get back to Medicare for All for a second, because Medicare for All, they always talk about how Yang's not for Medicare for All. No, he's not for Medicare for All on day one. He's for a slow, gradual change into that, which he has a plan laid out that I just discussed. But you guys won't ever say that. You guys just say that he's not for Medicare for All. That's not the case. UBI is way more progressive policy than Medicare for All is. Yang is more progressive than Bernie. So the fact that Yang is that just means what? That he's right on 90% of on the stuff, while you guys are cherry picking one or two things that he's not right about, just to make him look bad, because you know that he's more progressive than your candidate. You know that he is anti-establishment. You know that he is not establishment character. You know that. And you don't want to admit it. You don't want to give him props. You want to find cherry-picked little bitty things that's wrong with him. And it's really kind of disingenuous. I disagree with Yang myself on the Julian Assange thing, but I'm not going to turn my back on him, or I'm not going to make dedicated videos bad about him just because there's one little thing I disagree with him on, because I can see all the other things that he's trying to do, and I can go, okay, well, I'll make a pass on this one. That's not the case, because you know it's scared, man. You know it's scared because you're all about ideology. Your ideology is socialist. That's the only thing you want. That's the only thing you care about. I care about moving the country forward. And sometimes I'm not going to agree with everybody on everything all of the time. And you have to be able to look at some of the nuances surrounding that and understand that, Kyle. I know it's hard to do, but it is intellectually dishonest, actually intellectually weak and lazy argument to find two little bitty things, skirt the nuance, not look at the nuance, not look at the context, and go, not my candidate. I don't like this guy because of one thing. So I'm sorry, man, but you have to get corrected on this one. It's just obvious. It's blatant and obvious what you guys are doing to Yang. You guys are actually part of the establishment for helping push Yang out, because Yang is anti-establishment. He's trying, and you guys are helping the DNC by giving him bad coverage when there is nothing to give him bad coverage for, except for maybe the Julian Assange thing. But again, you're not going to phrase it as in, oh, well, there's one thing that I don't like about Yang, or there's a couple things I don't like about Yang. It's no, he doesn't like this, so all of a sudden he's the devil, right? So I don't know, guys. It just got underneath my skin, as you can tell. So just feel like I wanted to say that. So I'm sorry for all the salty Kyle boys in the comment section. Kyle Farmland from the Sky, please tell me why Kulinski, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's all I got, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.